Welcome back. New Yorkers across the five boroughs are heading to the polls to vote for New York City mayor, borough presidents, and several other elected positions. Joining me to discuss the importance of voting and how we can use it to improve Bronx health is Charmaine Ruddock, Program Director of Bronx Health Reach. Charmaine, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you.
So, can you first just tell us about your organization and why you decided to actually advocate for voting?
Sure. So, Bronx Health Reach is a 22-year-old community coalition led by the Institute for Family Health with a charge of addressing racial and ethnic health disparities and eliminating it with a particular focus on the healthy behaviors vis-a-vis healthy eating, physical activity in our community. Bronx Health Reach is part of CDC's National Initiative Reach, which stands for Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health, which got launched in 1999. And its charge is to eliminate racial and ethnic health disparities with a particular focus that is the communities that are most experiencing these disparities that should be leading the effort in eliminating those disparities and establishing health equity. In terms of our looking to advocate for voting, about 7 years ago, Bronx Health Reach was one of several organizations that was invited by the Bronx District Public Health Office to participate in a video that came out of the fact that in the RWJF rankings, the Bronx is ranked 62 out of New York State's 62 counties in health outcomes and the factors contributing to those outcomes. What does that mean? It means that we're ranked last. We're the unhealthiest borough, the unhealthiest county. And so a group of us decided instead of, oh, woe is us, let's do something actively, proactively about this, in addition to the work that we've been doing in our respective organizations. And so we launched a steering committee and launched a Not 62 campaign for a healthy Bronx. Why are we advocating for voting? Because I think, as we all know, as the viewers and listeners know, voting changes things. Voting either brings into office those who are going to be champions of the things that matter most to a community, or they're going to be champions for things that matter to others, but not the community. And with us being 62, we understand that voting is one of the tools that the Bronx community has to effect the kind of transformative change that will move us out of being last place.
Thank you. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit. You mentioned Not 62. Coming from a background in health, I think it may be hard for people to see how they can change Bronx health by voting. Can you just detail what that looks like?
Sure. So look, when we look at the data and the statistics, and we look at the state of things in the Bronx around health issues, as I mentioned, and it's no surprise to Bronxites, particularly those not living in the most affluent parts of the Bronx, that in terms of access to quality health care, in terms of access to healthy food, in terms of access to a healthy environment where their children can be going out there. We have the ingredients for a very unhealthy borough, right? It is not surprising to anybody, given what people live in their everyday lives, why we're so unhealthy. The fact of the matter is that the policies that will transform the Bronx, the people who are the decision makers behind those policies, we need to have those decision makers, those policy makers in place whose priority is transforming the Bronx, for whom the current status quo in the Bronx, particularly the folks in the Bronx who have been here forever experiencing these health outcomes, that they should be prioritized, that the sort of policies, the sort of changes that will affect that will be something that they are driving. We had a coalition meeting 2 Fridays ago, and we had somebody come and speak on the issue of voting and the importance of it. And they pointed out to us, and in subsequent conversations, people brought it up again, that we do not have a question of representation. The Bronx is the only county, the only borough in New York City where the majority of the people are people of color. Our representatives look like the people, look like their constituents, right? We're also the bar where the elected officials come from a political party that is known for championing the causes and the needs of those people in the Bronx. So the question is, why aren't those changes made? And so one of the things that the members of the Bronx Health Reach Coalition is looking at is, we need to get people in power who will champion the concerns that we have, who are obviously championing our causes.
Now, I think that's a really good way to segue into voting a little bit more. When it comes to voting, people often think of the highest position in our country, which is the president. And although that is very important, can you tell us the importance of local elections?
Mm-hmm. I think of Tip O'Neill, who was a speaker in the House in Congress during the time of Ronald Reagan, but he said something that has resonated throughout the years when he said, all politics is local, right? We are hopefully coming out of a pandemic that brutally laid bare the disparities and the discrepancies in the lives of many poor communities, particularly poor communities of color. The change, we are also, and the reason why Bronx Health Reach has really this year reminded people to focus on the elections, that last year's election, yes, was about changing the president. Today, on November 2nd, is one of the most pivotal election days that Bronx residents and New York City residents on a whole will be part of. This is the day where we're voting for mayor. For the Bronx, we're voting for a borough president. We're voting for many city council members. We're voting for the New York City controller. These are key elected offices that we're voting for, those office holders who will take office at the beginning of next year. This cannot be overstated as a critical and a pivotal election for those of us in New York City.
Now, the world of politics and government can be intimidating for some people. And if you're in that booth, some may find themselves asking, who are some of these people? What are some ways that people can stay knowledgeable about who they're voting for?
One of the things, Bronx Health Reach sent out a recent e-blast listing all the folks who are running for the different offices, right? There's also a website. The mayor's office has I think it's called Office of Democracy. That's if you click on that link, you will find the different office holders, and people should also go and Google them, see what people's positions have been, see how they're addressing the issues that are of paramount importance to us. Many of them have some of the key, those who are leading in their races have made public protestations of their agenda. So people can easily go to Google and look up and become informed consumers. There was a department store years ago, I don't know if they're still in existence, that the name of it was Sims. And Sims had a line, an informed consumer is our best customer. We should think ourselves as voters as becoming educated so we can be the best, make the best voting decisions when we get into those voting booths.
Now, what can we do to learn more about your organization and stay connected?
So for Bronx Health Reach, there are a number of ways you can find out about us. You can go to www.bronxhealthreach.org, our website. You can find us on Twitter at BX Health Reach. And we're also on Instagram and on Facebook, and you can learn much about us.
Now, lastly, one quick thing. Do you have any advice for somebody who may be a little bit on the fence about voting? What would you quickly say to them?
So today, November 2nd, is voting day. I know some of us may have voted already in the early elections, but if you haven't, please, please, please find the time to go and vote today. The quality of our lives that we will live over the next, not only this election cycle, but coming election cycles will very much be determined by who takes over and makes the decisions, particularly as we look to build a better Bronx and a better New York City. It is imperative that we vote and vote today. Remind your neighbors and your friends, call folks. Call everybody that you know and say to them, if you haven't voted already, please go and vote today. If you need to be taken to vote, I'll help you. I'll help make sure you get to vote, but you have to go out. Today, November 2nd, is the day when we start telling those who are seeking office and who will get to office that we are committed and unabashed in our efforts to make a better Bronx.
Charmaine, thank you so much. I love your passion and enthusiasm about this. It's super important. So once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on such an important day when all Bronxites, hopefully, are going out to vote to start making a difference as we build better.
We'll be right back.